Hello everyone, in this video I'll show you all the crashed cars from the crash tests over the 6 years of my channel. I keep all these models on a separate shelf and it's already not enough, it's completely filled with these crashed cars. A similar video was already released on the channel 4 years ago, and since then there have been even more crashed cars. And now I'll show you all of them in detail, what's left of them and what condition they're in. I laid out all the models on the table and it was barely enough to fit them all. And here's how many detached parts are left from all these cars: wheels, windows, body parts, grills, radiators, and many other parts. It's like being at a scrapyard. Take whatever's still intact. Try to guess how many models are here in total. Write your guess in the comments now, and later we'll see who guessed correctly or was close to the right number. And you'll find out the exact number of broken models at the end of this video, but these aren't absolutely all the broken cars. Some models simply haven't survived, or they were in no condition to be stored at all. When I was simulating an explosion, there was practically nothing left of the model afterwards. It looks like a real junkyard of wrecked cars, only in scale, like a diorama. It turns out to be an anti-collection of models. Usually, people collect beautiful, intact models, but in my case, it's a collection of wrecked cars. It's the opposite. So, let's start with the oldest models, and I'll gradually show you the newer ones. This BMW is already about 6 years old since I put it together, and it's still wrecked. But still, the model needs no introduction. You all know perfectly well what model this is and where it's from. It's wrecked. Of course, there are no intact parts left at all. The white model in clay has faded and turned kind of milky over these years. I also filmed it for the English channel. Subscribe, link in video description below. Back then, I used sculpting and children's colored clay for modeling, but now I mostly use only these kinds. I used to sculpt simple engines, not like now where almost everything is detailed. And here's such a modest bottom. And as an example of how I make the bottom now, this is how the model has been preserved. Some parts and seats in the interior are missing. I took them off and put them in another car. The next victim is this one, and you can immediately see that it's unusually damaged. It looks like a tank ran over it. Actually, it melted from the heat under the sun. This is what will happen to a plasticine car if you leave it in the sun. You'll find links to all the crash tests of these cars in the video description below. The car is shining as if it's been covered with oil or something greasy. But actually, it's wax that melted out of the modeling clay because of the heat, and that's what creates this effect. The front part is falling apart. The model has become very fragile because the wax leaked out and the modeling clay became harder but also more brittle. It lost its elasticity, it doesn't stretch as well but instead tears and cracks. This is very noticeable on the rear wheels. The model has hardly changed since the crash test. I dropped a clay piano on it and it remained just as flat except for the wheels. I also took them off for some other model. If you didn't get it, it's this. It got squashed hard from both sides. It was also melting under the sun. And after that, when the clay was warm, I broke it. I hit the front and back of the car really hard. It's a pile of scrap metal, I always want to say that, but it's clay. It used to be a model, but you can't say that anymore. I pretty much took the whole model apart. I took the seat from it, and I guess I forgot to put the doors and roof back on. All that's left on the car is the front and rear parts. I had nowhere else to use the dashboard, so it stayed too. The car is totaled after the pencil crash test. There's no interior, only the dashboard is in place, and the doors are gone too, just at the bottom. That's not a spare tire, it's just a wheel stuck on from some other car. Only the front and rear parts of the car are left, and well, it's completely wrecked. ZIL 130. The model here is very poorly preserved. Everything is flattened because another car was lying on top of it. And it gradually crushed this ZIL. And attached to it is the hood from a Zhiguli 7. Yeah, and I kept wondering where it disappeared to. The rear part with the cab is completely crushed, and there are no wheels. The model is in very poor condition. After the crash test, it looked better than it does now. Also smashed to pieces, no intact parts. The car is also squashed from the top. And that's the condition it has survived in to this day. Which I just crushed in my hands like a piece of dough. I was showing that you can just take a clay model like this and easily crush it with your hands. Also after the crash test, and again with a sagging roof. There was also a car on top of it, just like with many other models. I didn't take anything from it, no parts at all, so that's the condition the model has been preserved in. And this was the one I made from sculpting clay and then covered it with brown colored clay on top. There are no intact parts left, the car is completely destroyed. Police Ford Crown Victoria. As we can see, the car's interior, including a laptop, is still intact. However, the roof, doors, wheels and engine are missing. I took it out once for some other model. And this used to be a limo made from a Priora, and now it's turned into this chunk of modeling clay. I destroyed it in an unusual way. I split it into two parts with a blade. And you can see how it happened in the crash test video of this limo by following the link in the description. Try to guess which model it was. I rode over it with my bicycle and crushed it so badly. And this used to be... Next, I will not show you the whole car, but some of the remaining parts. Only the front part, the hood, and the rear part with the roof are left from it. This used to be a really cool Mercedes Geländewagen. I reused the seat from it and I used its wheels on the Tesla. Cybertruck, and here's the Cybertruck. This is how it got crushed after the collisions. It's battered with no windows left. It was a very simple model to sculpt because of its straight and simple body shapes. There's also not much left of the model here. This used to be a Gazelle. It went through a very tough crash test, after which there was hardly anything left, and now there's even less. By the way, the video with this Gazelle is the second most popular video on my channel. It's only surpassed by the crash test legend with the police Ford. This is one of two. I made two identical cars for the video so I could crash them in different ways and compare their damage. With a sign on the pole, created for a special crash test where I launched the car sideways and in other ways straight into a pole. From which all the parts are already falling off. At least it still has some more or less intact parts of the body that aren't completely smashed. And at the end of the video, a heavy stone was dropped on this car, turning it into a pancake. It was a model. That's 9. It was a very beautiful model that I made just to crush it with my hands. And this is what was left of it afterwards. Mercedes-Benz 190E. Everything on it is barely holding together. It's preserved in this condition, though the roof is still intact. Niva Travel, which was crushed by a plasticine tank. More details on how it happened are in the crash test itself under the video. This is a model of Dominic Toretto's Dodge Charger. It was brutally smashed and written off as scrap. Most of the car, of course, has already been lost and disappeared without a trace. The only thing I kept from it is this engine, since it survived and I managed to restore it well. Nissan 34 is probably the most intact of all the models. I didn't completely wreck it because I felt too sorry for this model. At least something remained intact from it. The RX-7 model, which is already falling apart in my hands. And that's the condition it's in after the crash test. The Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 10 is a stunning model with a particularly impressive color scheme. It has total damage, but there are also some intact parts. The final model in this collection is the Nissan Silvia S13. This is the newest crash test I've done, and the one with the lowest views. I had completely different expectations for this video. These were all the crashed models that survived after the crash tests, and there are only 31 of them. There were actually more crash tests and accordingly more crashed cars as well. I will continue to collect them after the crash tests, so that in a few years I can make a similar video and remember which cars I made and how many of them I destroyed. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any new videos. Thank you for watching this video. Goodbye everyone.